Okay, you know, I know my seniors have probably gotten tired of hearing about this, but we're going to talk about separators. Yay, it's a separator. Okay, now this is the way a separator is supposed to look. Ours has obviously been torn down, all the equipment's been taken off of it. And one of the jobs I wanted to point out here is we talk about a talent. Well, a talent for separators is being the guy who can bend these stainless steel tubes that go to the different gauges. I've talked to Tom about it sometimes, and he said it's almost an art form to be able to turn those, bend those, and think about where they're going to go. Because if you look at this, it really makes absolutely no sense where some of this stuff goes. But yet somebody has to sit there and figure this out. One of the things I could tell though, and it's hard for you to see on the video here, but right in this area, that line is bent. I guarantee you some knucklehead set his foot on that. He'd have a lot of explaining to do where I used to work. But this is a separator right here. This right here, something we don't have. This is a sight glass right here. There's a valve up here, valve down here, and the fluid will put in here. Now this thing almost looks armored if you look at the side of it, okay? And it's done that way because the glass that's in here is actually, you know, it's high strength glass. Now these get dirtier than anything, and if you can see, it's hard to tell, but you can actually see, yeah, there's my fingers right through that. What's interesting is the liquids that we're bringing out have salt in them. They have different chemicals coming up from the ground. They will stain the inside of that. Now, we had to find a way to be able to see the fluid sometimes because you can't just tear this apart and clean it. So what we used to do was stick a paper plate behind this, and you'd hit it with a flashlight, and the light would come off the paper plate through the sight glass, and then you could see the liquid that was inside there a little easier. Now, eventually it got to the point where sometimes you had to stop and clean these out. And what we would actually use is condensate. We would shut the valves off, shut the valves off right here. You have a valve at the top, valve at the bottom. Drain it out. And then there's a plug on the top. We would take this plug out and we'd pour condensate in there. And because you really can't get anything in there, you can try. I think one time we tried hooking a couple straws together. That didn't work out too good because the other thing you got to remember is this valve at the bottom, sometimes they'll just put a small needle valve on there and it's not big enough for things to pass through. So if you accidentally drop something down there, you got to get it out of there before the bosses show up. So, but with those sight glasses, you put the condensate in there. A lot of times the condensate would eat out what was inside the glass on the inside of that. And I wanted to show you real quick too, behind me right here, this big piece here, that is an inline heater. Now that's the big inline heater. That's the mama inline heater. We have the baby inline heater in our shop. But that one hasn't been hooked up to anything. It has a few little pieces of equipment on it that we won't go into right now. But yeah, this is some interesting equipment here, and so we're going to stop our lesson there for the day. Again, hope everybody's doing well, and we will give you another lesson tomorrow or the next day or the next day. Not sure when I'm going to get back out to these well pads with the restrictions they're putting on travel for everybody, but we'll do pretty good, I think. So, hey, until next time. Toodles.